At 7:06 on Friday night, 3 minutes before Lauren Vale was supposed to announce the biggest deal in her company's history, Ryan Walker smelled hot plastic above a ballroom packed with 612 people. He stopped beneath a return air grill and looked up. After 16 years around electrical rooms, hotel kitchens, and old walls, he knew the smell. Not smoke yet, but insulation getting too hot. He raised his radio. "Graham, I need the ballroom show power checked now." Graham Pike, Vale Hospitality's vice president of operations, answered from 20 feet away without using the radio. He was in a tuxedo, one hand on an earpiece, eyes fixed on the stage where Lauren stood behind a curtain waiting for her introduction. "Not now. The house panel was checked," Ryan said. "I'm talking about the temporary feed." Graham stepped closer. "You signed the room off at 4:40. I signed the permanent circuits. The show feed was supposed to be dead by 3. The event electrician said it could stay." A light above the east wall flickered once. Then again. Ryan looked toward the nearest fire alarm pull station. Graham saw him look. "Don't." On stage, the MC lifted his microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Chief Executive Officer of Vale Hospitality, Lauren Vale." Applause rolled through the ballroom. Ryan heard a faint dry crackle above the ceiling. He did not see flame. He did not have a meter in his hand. He had a smell, a flicker, a sound, and 612 people sitting under a decorated ceiling. His phone buzzed. "Lily, good luck tonight, Dad. Don't forget my pancake thing tomorrow." He had raised her alone since she was 3. Tomorrow he owed her a pancake booth. Tonight his hand was inches from an alarm that could end a $2 million event. Graham grabbed his wrist. "You pull that. You own what happens next." Ryan looked at him. "That's why I'm pulling it." The alarm exploded through the ballroom. Lauren had just stepped into the lights. She stopped in the middle of her first sentence. Ryan pulled his wrist free and shouted for the east doors to be opened. Security and banquet captains moved. Within 40 seconds, hundreds headed for exits while Ryan checked the east side tables for anyone left behind. Lauren came down from the stage without her prepared speech, her face controlled in the way powerful people looked when anger had nowhere private to go. Outside, a cold October wind hit the crowd. Fire engines turned onto Grand Avenue. Cameras came up. The gala cost just over $2 million. The announcement was supposed to secure a refinancing package that could keep 3 underperforming Vale hotels open through winter. Now lenders, donors, executives, hourly banquet workers, and local press were standing on the sidewalk beneath flashing lights. 10 minutes later, before the fire crew had opened a single ceiling panel, Lauren found Ryan beside the loading entrance. Graham was with her. "Did you have confirmed smoke?" she asked. "No." "Confirmed fire?" "No." "A detector and alarm before you pulled?" "No." Ryan did not decorate the answers. Lauren's eyes hardened. "You evacuated 612 people and destroyed tonight's presentation on a smell. On a condition I believe could become a fire." Graham handed her a clipboard. Ryan recognized his own signature near the bottom of a facilities checklist. Lauren looked at it, then back at him. "You signed this room safe 2 hours ago." "I signed the systems I inspected." "You are done here," she said. The words were quiet, which made every person near them hear them. "Give Graham your keys. HR will contact you Monday." Ryan felt the hit land before he let it show. His hand touched the phone in his pocket before the key rang. "Pancakes tomorrow. Rent on the 1st. He said none of it. He unclipped his keys. "You should wait for the fire department. I should have waited before letting you anywhere near this event." Graham held out his palm. Ryan placed the keys in it. Then a firefighter 20 yards away shouted, "Kill power to the ballroom." Everyone turned. Another firefighter had pushed open a ceiling access panel above the east service corridor. A thin gray ribbon of smoke curled out, slow at first, then thicker. Lauren stared at it. Ryan did not say "I told you so." He only looked at the keys in Graham's hand and said, "Now you know why I pulled it." For 1 second, the argument looked over. It was not. The smoke proved Ryan had not imagined the danger. It did not prove he was innocent. 2 hours and 26 minutes earlier, he had noticed the first warning and walked away. Firefighters found no open flame. They isolated the circuit and found a scorched connection feeding temporary event lighting. It had overheated at a loose termination, but the captain would not tell reporters whether it would ever have ignited. "We found an electrical hazard," he said. "The evacuation was appropriate once the alarm was activated." Cause is under investigation. The ballroom stayed closed. The gala did not resume. Lauren moved into a small executive office with the captain, general counsel, and Graham. Ryan waited in the hall because the captain had asked him not to leave. Through the glass, Graham spoke calmly. Then he opened the door. He smelled something at 4:40. Lauren turned so quickly her chair rolled backward. Ryan. Ryan did not look at Graham. Yes. And you walked away? Yes. Graham leaned against the doorframe. There's your answer. The room went quiet. Ryan let the sentence sit where Graham had put it. Then he said, there's part of it. At 4:40, Ryan had felt unusual heat near the east panel. He asked why the temporary feeder was still live. Graham said an event electrician had approved it. Ryan told him to log the change, then answered a leaking ice machine 2 floors up. He never wrote the warning himself or returned to verify the feed. At 5:12, he signed the facility's release for the permanent systems on his sheet. Lauren asked, you had a concern and you didn't document it? Correct. Why? Because I got pulled upstairs and I let a verbal handoff become somebody else's job. Graham said, you signed the room. Ryan answered, I signed a sheet that did not include the temporary feed. Graham lifted the clipboard. Try selling that distinction to the board. I just did. Lauren's anger had changed shape. Smoke had destroyed Lauren's first certainty. Ryan's admission destroyed the opposite one. She asked the fire captain, was he right to pull the alarm? Once he believed there was an immediate fire hazard, activating the alarm was a defensible decision. And the 4:40 warning? That is not my finding. That is your management problem. Lauren looked at Ryan again. You understand that admitting this does not help you. I'm not trying to help me. Then what are you trying to do? Ryan glanced through the glass toward the lobby, where banquet workers were covering untouched food and investors were calling car services. Keep the story the size of the truth. Nobody was hurt. Nobody knows whether that connection would have become a fire. I should have documented what I saw at 4:40. I should have gone back. At 7:06, I believe people were under an electrical hazard, so I pulled the alarm. Those can both be true. And my decision? Lauren asked. Ryan could have made her firing him the center of the night. You made it before the ceiling was open. For the first time, she looked away. The captain asked Ryan back at 8 for a joint inspection. Lauren said, your termination is reversed. You are on paid suspension until the review is finished. It was not an apology. Fine. Your keys stay with Graham. Fine. Do not speak to the press. I wasn't planning to. He started toward the lobby. Graham said behind him, Ryan. Ryan stopped. If this had happened before doors, you could have prevented all of it. Ryan turned. Maybe. Graham seemed surprised he had not denied it. That's the point. No, Ryan said. That's the part one have to answer for. Outside, Ryan opened Lily's photo. Their apartment in purple marker, 2 crooked arrows toward exits, fire plan across the top. He looked from the screen to the dark ballroom windows. If the connection above that ceiling had gone from hot to burning before 7:06, he would have had to live with one fact for the rest of his life. He had seen the first warning and left the record blank. Lily was awake at 9:47, in dinosaur pajamas with cereal and her folded fire plan. A television clip played low. The caption beneath Ryan's face read, Hotel employee triggers Gala evacuation. They keep saying you ruined the party, Lily said. Ryan hung his jacket over a chair. I did ruin the party. She studied him. Was there a fire? There was something getting too hot in the ceiling. So was the alarm fake? He pulled out the chair across from her. No, but that doesn't mean I did everything right today. Lily pushed the paper toward him. We had a fire drill. Mrs. Bennett said you don't wait to see flames when the alarm goes off. That's true. Then why did the lady fire you? Because she thought I had scared 600 people for no reason. But then smoke came out. Yes. Did she see it? Yes. Lily frowned. That seems embarrassing. Ryan laughed once despite himself. Brush your teeth. She stood, then stopped. Are you still coming to pancakes? The question hit harder than the television clip. Yes. Even if you don't work there anymore? Especially then. Okay. She disappeared down the hall. Ryan unfolded her fire plan. Purple arrows. 2 exits. A little square labeled window, even though their apartment was on the 3rd floor and the window was not an exit. He almost corrected it. Instead, he set his laptop beside the paper and wrote the evening down while his memory was clean. 4:40. East panel warmer than expected. Asked Graham about temporary feeder. Graham said event electrician approved continued use. Requested event log entry. Called to ice machine. Did not personally document. Did not return. 7:03. Odor of hot insulation. 7:05. East wall lighting flicker. 7:06. Audible crackle. Pulled manual alarm. He could have softened the 440 line. Instead, he added, I should have verified or documented the condition before doors. Across town, Lauren sat at the head of a conference table in a private suite. The board chair, Charles Brenner, was on speakerphone. Graham wanted the company to say an employee had acted outside the established escalation chain. Lauren read the phrase twice. Was there an established chain for suspected fire? She asked. General Counsel answered before Graham could. Emergency response is separate. Any employee who reasonably identifies an immediate fire emergency can activate the alarm under the hotel plan. Lauren looked at Graham. So if we say he violated the chain? I'm saying he should have escalated before pulling a ballroom. He says he did at 4:40. He mentioned a warm panel. That is not the same as reporting an emergency. Lauren looked at Ryan's signed checklist again. Under electrical, it listed permanent house lighting, receptacles, emergency lighting, exit signs, fire alarm interface, and kitchen support. It did not list the temporary production feed. Get me the final event power plan. Graham said his team would bring it in the morning. Tonight. Lauren, it is nearly 11. Tonight. Charles's voice came through the speaker. We also need a statement before Asia opens. The financing committee already has questions. 3 weaker properties were counting on the refinancing through winter. A delayed vote could mean hiring freezes and reduced hours. Lauren had built the Gala to prove Vail was controlled and predictable. Instead, 612 people watched her fire the man who pulled an alarm before smoke appeared. At 10:41, she called the fire captain herself. Was Walker's alarm justified? I would not call it a false alarm. Would you call it necessary? I would call the evacuation defensible under the circumstances. And his earlier warning? Your management problem. At 11:12, Lauren deleted the draft statement, blaming unauthorized employee action. She did not replace it with praise for Ryan. She had learned enough in 4 hours to distrust any sentence that made one person completely clean. Her public statement said only that the Gala had been evacuated after a manual alarm. Firefighters had identified an electrical hazard. No injuries were reported, and the affected event areas would remain closed pending inspection. At 6:30, Lily dropped a pancake-shaped paper cutout on Ryan's chest. His phone showed paid suspension from HR and another message from an unknown number. Lauren Vail. 8 a.m. East Service Corridor. Bring your notes. Ryan looked at Lily's purple fire plan on the table. He folded it once and slipped it into his jacket pocket. At 8, the empty ballroom looked smaller. Lauren stood beneath the open east ceiling with a city electrical inspector, the fire captain, Graham, and Tessa Kim, the licensed electrician who had supervised the temporary event power. The inspector pointed to the scorched connection. This overheated while the temporary lighting circuit was under load. The permanent ballroom wiring did not cause it. Tessa opened the final power plan on her tablet. One line had a box around it. De-energized temporary feed, 1500. Lauren asked, 3 p.m.? Yes. Why was it still on at 7? Tessa said, that is what we need to establish. Graham folded his arms. Your foreman told my team it could remain through the program. He told your team the cable could stay in place for teardown. That is not the same as staying energized. He told me the feed could stay live. Tessa looked at him. Then he contradicted the written plan and did not call me. The inspector raised a hand before the argument could expand. One question at a time. He turned to Ryan. At 4:40, what did you observe? Ryan gave him his notes. Extra heat near the east panel. I asked whether the temporary feed was still energized. Graham said an event electrician had approved it. Did you verify the feed? No. Did you document the concern? No. I asked Graham to put it in the event log. Did you go back? No, Graham said. He smelled trouble before the Gala and walked away. Lauren asked Ryan, is that unfair? His fingers touched the purple edge of Lily's paper. No, Graham's shoulders loosened. There's your answer. Ryan nodded once. There's part of it. Ryan continued. If I had documented it and gone back, we might have found the live feed before doors. We might not have found the loose connection, but we would have had a better chance. The inspector asked, does that make the 7:06 alarm wrong? No. Does it erase the 440 miss? No. The inspector nodded and moved on. Ryan had handed the weakest fact against himself to the room, deciding his job. The second piece of evidence came from Tessa's written plan, power off at 3. The third came from the hotel's event log. Graham brought out the event log. At 2:18 p.m., one line stopped the inspector's finger. Show feed remains active through close per ops. Tessa leaned closer. Who is ops? Graham answered. My office. Lauren's voice dropped. Your office, or you? Graham met her eyes. Me. Nobody spoke. An air mover hummed in the silence. Graham did not confess to knowing the connection was bad. The production foreman told me it could stay live. Shutting it down would have delayed doors at least 90 minutes and might have killed the lender presentation. I made a scheduling decision based on an electrician's assurance. Tessa said, an assurance that contradicted the final plan. An assurance from your foreman. He did not have authority to change that plan without calling me. Graham looked at Lauren. I was trying to keep the event on schedule. I did not know a connection was loose. Ryan said, we don't have evidence you knew. Graham looked at him, suspicious of the mercy. You don't need to help me. I'm not. The inspector asked for the hotel's service interruption policy. Graham handed him a one-page sheet. Lauren recognized the last paragraph before anyone read it aloud. After 5 p.m., no unplanned service interruption in public event areas without executive operations approval except active life safety emergency. Her initials were beside the revision date. She had approved it 6 months earlier after a maintenance shutdown embarrassed a wedding party and cost Vail a major client. Lauren read the sentence twice. Graham said, the emergency exception is right there. Ryan answered before Lauren could. On paper. Lauren looked up. What does that mean? Ryan pointed to the words active life safety emergency. It means the person on the floor has to believe he can prove the emergency before somebody asks why he ruined the event. Last night, proof came after the doors were open. Lauren looked at her initials again. The fourth piece of evidence was not against Ryan or Graham. It was hers. By 10:30, the investigation was no longer about one man's judgment. The loose connection explained the heat. Tessa's written plan showed the temporary feed should have been off by 3. Graham's log showed he had personally kept it live based on a verbal assurance. Ryan's own notes showed he had noticed a warning at 4:40 and failed to document or recheck it. Lauren's policy showed why every person in that chain had been taught to think twice before interrupting a high-value event. Charles Brenner joined by video. I need the version we can defend by noon. Lauren said, those are the facts. Those are 6 facts. I asked for a statement. Graham sat 2 chairs away from Ryan. We can say the immediate hazard came from contractor equipment. The facility's employee activated the alarm before confirmation, and operations relied on the contractor. All true, Charles said. Ryan spoke. Not all of it. Graham looked at him. Of course. You also need to say the written plan required the feed off at 3. Charles leaned toward his camera. Mr. Walker, are you alleging Mr. Pike knowingly endangered guests? No. Are you alleging the hotel was a fire trap? No. Are you alleging the temporary circuit would have caused a fire? No. Graham's expression changed. He had expected Ryan to use the opening. Ryan continued. I'm saying a connection overheated. The written plan said the temporary feed should have been off. It stayed on. I noticed something at 4:40 and did not follow it through. At 7:06 I believe the condition had become urgent, so I pulled the alarm. Ms. Vail fired me before the ceiling was opened. That is the sequence. Charles said, you are remarkably calm for a man who was fired in public. Being louder won't change the sequence. Graham said. He keeps leaving out that his signature released the ballroom. Ryan turned to him. No, I keep saying exactly what the sheet released. Graham pushed the clipboard across the table. A jury, a lender, a reporter, they are going to see your name. Then show them the page. Lauren watched Ryan refuse the easier story again. He could have made Graham, the hotel, or the smoke sound worse. Instead, he kept every claim to what he could prove. Charles said, the refinancing committee meets at noon. If that presentation slips, 3 hotels enter winter without the package. That means staffing freezes at minimum. It may mean reduced hours. I need everyone in this room to understand the stakes. Ryan said nothing. The stakes were real. Lauren looked at the policy with her initials. And if we issue a statement that makes Ryan the problem? Charles answered. Then counsel will make sure it is accurate. Accurate enough to omit why the feed was still on. Accurate enough not to speculate. Lauren laughed once without humor. We are very interested in restraint now. Charles's face tightened. Do not make this personal. I fired him in front of 600 people. It is already personal, Charles said. Then separate your embarrassment from the company. The room went quiet. Lauren ended the call and asked everyone except Ryan to step outside. Graham paused at the door. Lauren, the lender team needs copy in 20 minutes. I know. When the door shut, she asked Ryan, what do you want? The record corrected. Your job. If the truth is enough to get it back, fine. Compensation. Pay the hourly staff who lost shifts because we closed the ballroom. A public apology? Ryan looked through the glass at banquet workers moving carts. I want the statement to say the alarm led to an evacuation before the hazard was fully identified, and the hazard was real. I wanted to say I missed the 4:40 follow-up. I wanted to say the temporary feed stayed energized against the written plan. I wanted to say you fired me before the facts were in. Lauren stared at him. That could cost us the refinancing. Then don't say more than you can prove. You just gave me the most expensive version. No, Ryan said. I gave you the smallest true one. A knock came. PR held up a printed statement while Charles called again. Lauren answered. His first words were, read the statement. Do not improvise. At 11:20, employees, board members, and reporters filled the glass atrium. The lender committee had moved its call back 40 minutes to hear Vale's public response. It was a deadline. Charles found Lauren beside the stage before she walked to the lectern. He held the clean statement in one hand. Page 1 gets us through the call. Turn this into a management confession and the committee may delay the package. 3 hotels could spend winter cutting hours. The board may also decide you created a governance crisis. Lauren looked at him. Are you threatening my job? I am describing the room you are about to walk into. Good. Lauren, I heard you. The public relations chief whispered, read page 1. Stop before questions. The statement thanked responders, blamed temporary equipment, then noted a facility's employee evacuated before a hazard was confirmed. Every sentence was defensible. Together they made Ryan look like the disruption. Lauren stepped to the microphones. She saw Graham, Charles, banquet staff, and Ryan beside a column in his work jacket, purple paper in one pocket. Lauren looked down at the prepared statement, then at Ryan. She folded the pages in half. The microphones caught the sound. The room became so quiet she could hear the paper crease. I fired him, she said. Cameras lifted. Charles closed his eyes. Lauren continued. Last night, at 7:06 p.m., Ryan Walker, one of our building engineers, activated the fire alarm during our gala. 612 guests and employees evacuated. Minutes later, firefighters found an overheating electrical connection above the east side of the ballroom. She did not look at the paper again. Before they opened that ceiling, I asked Mr. Walker whether he had confirmed smoke, confirmed fire, or a detector already in alarm. His answer to all 3 questions was no. I then fired him in public. Ryan did not move. That decision was premature, and it was mine. Lauren went on. The review also found that Mr. Walker noticed a concern earlier in the afternoon and did not document or recheck it as he should have. He has acknowledged that failure without qualification. The same review found that the temporary electrical feed involved in the incident was scheduled to be de-energized at 3 p.m. It remained energized through the event under an operations decision based on a verbal assurance that contradicted the written power plan. Mr. Pike made that decision. There is no evidence he knew the connection itself was defective. There is evidence the written plan was not followed. A reporter called. Is he fired? He has been removed from Event Operations Authority, pending final review. Lauren waited for the room to settle. There is one more fact, and it is mine. 6 months ago, I approved a policy requiring executive operations approval for unplanned service interruptions after 5 p.m., except during active life safety emergencies. The exception is necessary. The culture we built around it was not. We taught people that interrupting an important event could become a career problem unless danger was already obvious. She glanced toward Ryan. Last night, certainty arrived after the alarm. Charles stared at her. Effective today, any Vale employee or contractor may stop work or initiate emergency response when they reasonably believe there is an immediate life safety hazard. That choice will be reviewed afterward. It will not require permission beforehand. The first reporter tried again. What is Mr. Walker's status? I reversed his termination last night. He is on paid suspension while the final review is completed. I have not asked him to return yet. Before I do, I owe him an apology that costs more than words. Vail Hospitality will pay every hourly employee who loses scheduled work because the affected event areas remain closed. Executive incentive compensation tied to this gala will fund the first portion. Mine included. Charles's jaw tightened. Lauren continued. We are postponing the financing presentation tied to last night's event. That may cost us time. It may cost us money. I will not protect either by telling a cleaner story than the evidence supports. She stepped back from the microphone. No slogan. For one long beat, nobody said anything. Ryan would remember that silence longer than the questions that came next. It was the sound of a room realizing the most powerful person in it had chosen the version of the truth that made her smaller, not larger. Then reporters shouted. A banquet worker clapped once. Then others joined. But Lauren was already stepping away. As she passed Ryan, she stopped. Conference room after the board? He looked at her. Depends. On what? Whether you want an employee back or a witness who makes you look better. Lauren held his gaze. An employee who tells me when the ceiling smells wrong. Ryan nodded toward the folded statement in her hand. That's a start. The board kept Lauren upstairs for 2 hours. Ryan stayed with the inspector. By mid-afternoon, the technical picture was simple. One temporary connection had overheated. Permanent ballroom wiring had no related defect. The temporary feed should have been off and was not. The event area would stay closed pending inspection. At 4:15, she found him in a service hallway writing panel numbers on blue painter's tape. She looked exhausted. The board did not fire me. Ryan kept writing. Congratulations. Not a joke. Neither was that. They censured me for the firing decision and ordered an external operations review. The refinancing is on hold for 2 weeks. And the 3 hotels. No winter cuts yet. We have 2 weeks to keep it that way. Ryan capped the marker. Hourly staff here. Payroll is covering every scheduled closure hour. I signed it. Good. You care more about that than whether I kept my job. They carried plates at your $2 million gala for $18 an hour. Fair. She handed him a folder. Inside was a reinstatement offer with back pay, restored seniority, and a reporting line that moved life safety stop work decisions outside event operations. Ryan read every page. This was fast. The lawyers hated every minute. Then maybe it's decent. He closed the folder. I'm not signing today. Why? Because last night you fired me in under 5 minutes. Today you want to repair it before dinner. I corrected it publicly. You did. That matters. Ryan tapped the folder. But if I come back because the cameras liked what you said, nothing changed. What do you need changed? The final review includes my 440 miss. It already will. In the summary people actually read. Lauren nodded slowly. Okay. Company-wide. And the first safety timestamp can't be edited away. Agreed. Ryan studied her. Too fast. I spent all morning learning what happens when I answer too fast. I am trying something new. He almost smiled. Lauren became serious. I am sorry, Ryan. No cameras. I saw a ruined night and a signature with your name on it, and I decided I understood the whole story. I used my authority before I used my judgment. You did not deserve that. Ryan leaned against the opposite wall. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan said. Lauren waited. That's it. Most apologies are easier without HR paperwork. She laughed, tired and real. Then her eyes dropped to the purple paper in his jacket. Your daughter. Ryan's expression changed immediately. What about her? Purple arrows. I saw them this morning. He showed her Lily's fire plan. 2 ways out, Lauren said. She was proud. Beside one arrow, Lily had drawn a stick figure holding a pancake. You? Apparently I'm taller in emergencies. Lauren touched the corner of the paper, but did not take it. Last night, I thought you had ruined the most important room in my company. Ryan folded the plan again. It's a ballroom. I know. Important rooms have exits too. Lauren nodded once. When she walked away, Ryan looked down at the unsigned offer. For the first time since the alarm, getting his job back no longer felt like the only question. The external review took 12 days. Refinancing waited 14. Vail lost 2 events, paid closure wages, and heard investors complain Lauren had volunteered too much fault. She took back nothing. The 3 vulnerable hotels stayed open under an added safety review condition. Charles called it expensive. Lauren called it cheaper than the next alarm. Graham did not return to event operations. The review concluded that his decision to keep temporary power energized violated the written plan and that he failed to document the change. It also found no evidence he knew the connection was defective. He accepted a separation agreement rather than return under reduced authority. Tessa's company disciplined the foreman. Ryan read the final report at his kitchen table while Lily colored beside him. He skipped most of the corporate language until he reached the paragraph with his name. At 4:40 p.m., Walker identified abnormal heat, raised concern regarding temporary power, and failed to document or verify it before occupancy. Ryan read it twice. Lily looked up. Is that the part you did wrong? Yes. Did they leave it in? Yes. Good. Ryan looked at her. Why good? She shrugged. Because you kept talking about it. He laughed. Fair. His phone buzzed with an email from Lauren. Final version. No changes after your note. Attached were the company-wide stop work rule and new incident log. Ryan replied with 3 words. Now I'll sign. He returned Monday as senior building engineer. There was no hero banner. He wanted none. His first morning back, a banquet supervisor stopped him near the service elevators. So we can really stop an event now? She asked. If you reasonably believe people are in immediate danger, yes. Even if it turns out we were wrong. Ryan thought about the question. You still have to explain your decision. You don't have to predict the future. She nodded, and that was enough. Later that afternoon, Lauren passed him in the corridor. She did not ask whether he was happy to be back. How many times did someone use the new log today? 7. Her eyebrows rose. 7 emergencies? 7 concerns. That is the point. Any serious? A blocked service exit. The rest were minor. Lauren smiled. 7 interruptions. 7 chances to find out before they became 1. She nodded. I'm learning to like inconvenient numbers. Ryan said, don't get carried away. Trust had not returned because of one speech. It was rebuilding in small decisions nobody filmed. 5 weeks after the gala, Lauren scheduled the ballroom's first major staff drill. No donors. No lenders. No chandeliers dimmed for effect. Just employees practicing how to leave. At 9 on Wednesday, staff filled the ballroom for the safety session. Lauren sat in the second row with a legal pad while Ryan reviewed the exits and answered questions. She did not give a speech. The actual drill was scheduled for noon. At 10:30, Lily arrived because her school had a teacher workday and Mrs. Alvarez had a dentist appointment. She carried a backpack and a new fire plan. This one has 3 ways out, she announced before Ryan could say hello. Our apartment still has 2. The third one is for Grandma's house. That is not how floor plans work. Mrs. Bennett said creativity counts. Lauren came out of the ballroom and stopped when she saw them. Ryan made the introduction simple. Lily, this is Lauren. Lauren, this is Lily. Lily looked at Lauren for a long second. You're the lady from TV. Lauren glanced at Ryan. Unfortunately, you fired my dad. Ryan closed his eyes. Lily. What? She did. Lauren crouched to meet her eyes. I did. I was wrong to do it before I knew what happened. Lily considered that. Dad said he did one thing wrong too. Lauren looked up at Ryan. He made sure everybody knew. Lily nodded as if this confirmed a familiar problem. He does that. Ryan pointed toward the lobby cafe. Pancake thing. Remember? That was 5 weeks ago. You never let me reschedule it. Because you kept working. I was suspended for 2 days. You still answered emails. Lauren said, I am beginning to understand the management challenge. Ryan gave her a look. They took a table by the windows. Ryan ordered pancakes. Lauren joined them for coffee, then left for a board call. No one used the meal to repair anything. Lily told a story about a classmate whose family meeting point was inside his garage. Lauren laughed before going upstairs. At noon, the building alarm sounded for the scheduled drill, without a countdown over the radio. Lily covered her ears. They're too loud. Ryan said, that's kind of the job. Lily shook her head. No. Mrs. Bennett said they're loud because you're supposed to hear them. Lauren, passing their table on the way outside, stopped. That is the best explanation I've heard all month. Ryan took Lily's hand outside. She unfolded her new fire plan against the hotel, checking the purple arrows. Ryan looked back through the glass doors. Lauren was almost outside when she noticed a banquet worker pushing an empty cart toward the doorway. 5 weeks earlier, Lauren had stood on a stage believing open doors meant Ryan had destroyed the most important night in her company. Now she turned around, took the door in one hand, and held it while the worker rolled the cart through. No cameras watched. The worker thanked her, and Lauren nodded. The alarm kept ringing until the last person was outside. Lily squeezed Ryan's hand and complained that her pancakes were getting cold. Ryan looked at the open doors one more time. This time, nobody called them a loss.